You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. It's Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com, thechrisvossshow.com. Welcome to the big show, my family and friends. We certainly appreciate you guys coming by. As always, we have the most amazing guests and the amazing host. Wait, am I the host? I'm not that amazing. Anyway, we have amazing, brilliant minds on the show. None of them are mine, of course. I'm just the guy who keeps the seat warm over here and the jokes rolling for you, folks. And I press the go live button and the record, and that's pretty much what I do. And then the guests come and they just make it magical. There's magic that runs through the air of the Chris Voss Show, and that's why you should always refer to your friends, relatives, neighbors, dogs, cats. Play the show whether you're listening to it or not. You know, you can just play the show and just leave to the store or whatever. You know, it is cool too. You can, I can't say it or else I'll trigger all the machines. But if you know those machines where you do the hey G ooh ooh G L E, or the hey whatever, the hey Alexa whatever. If you say to tell them to play the Chris Voss Show, they'll play it. And so, best thing to do to keep my dogs calm when I leave to go to the store is I play the show, and they're really happy. But when I come back, they're very educated, and they have union demands when I come back. So they're just they get smarter. So just be careful how that works out with your stuff. Today we have an amazing gentleman on the show. We're going to be talking about some of the things that are going on in the world of property, real estate. We'll talk about some of the different issues people are facing and some of the things that they have as ideas to take and fix them. We have Karim Kerachni on the show with us today. He's the director of franchise development for propertyguys.com in the state of Massachusetts, and he's going to be talking about some of the franchise opportunities they do there and everything else, and we're going to learn some stuff, and maybe I think they have, from what I understand, a better way to sell your property, move property, and everything else, and also some business opportunities as well. He was born in Quebec, Canada. He grew up in France, Algerian roots, and 10 years ago, he moved back to Canada, out west, and then the East Coast. And over the last year, he got married and started taking his life even more on the road, living in Kuwait, then Malaysia, and then who knows? And I think he's coming from here with a Malaysia sunrise in the background. Is that correct, sir?
That is right. Yeah, that is correct. Penang Island.
So you might be listening to the show on the podcast. Check into the YouTube or any other video channels we have, and you'll see this beautiful sunrise coming up as we chat. So, if you're, I believe it's probably your morning in his end of the world, so you can enjoy that with a cup of coffee. He tries to be the embodiment, whatever you want to call it, of the mantra, work to live, don't live to work. And he wears multi-hats as a nomad entrepreneur. And even though it's not easy and makes mistakes, as we all do as entrepreneurs, he figures out things, and improving and is fun and exciting to me. You always got to be improving, people. He owns Steammates, a successful cleaning business with multiple branches in Canada that's currently up for sale. And his other main venture is in charge of franchise development in Eastern Massachusetts for real estate company that's disrupting the industry and changing the lives of both franchisees and their clients, propertyguys.com. Welcome to the show, Karim. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for having me, Chris. And by the way, congratulations on your on closing on 15 years doing this show. That's amazing.
I know. Congratulations. Thank you very much. We really appreciate it. I can't feel my legs. So there you go. And did I have that right? That's a Malaysian sunrise going up behind us. Beautiful.
That's right. Yeah, I've been here for a few months. It's an island off the coast of Malaysia, and as you mentioned earlier, in my opinion, success is not just making the most money, but having those life experiences as you work. Working for the purpose of living your best life.
There you go, and it's a beautiful seaside shot as well. There's the big hotels there, and then the seaside bay, or I don't know if it's a bay or the just ocean side, but it's definitely beautiful. So if I tone out during the show because I'm looking at your beautiful sunset, just say hey over here, Chris, over here, buddy. Give us the website that your websites wherever you want people to find you and follow you on the interwebs, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So actually, the easiest way to find me is simply to Google Property Guys Massachusetts, and you will find my website, my LinkedIn. I'm very approachable on LinkedIn, so don't hesitate to reach out. Or even easier, simply Google my name, Karim Kerachni. I'm the only one in the world, so pretty easy to find.
There you go. And it's good to know you're very kind on LinkedIn. I'm violent when people message me on LinkedIn, so there's that.
But, I mean, if you have something to sell, I might not respond right away. We'll see.
There you go. I bet $1 for every podcast promoter that's based in Pakistan or some India or someplace. I don't know how they cornered the market on podcast promotions, but I'd be a millionaire if I could get $1 for every one of those messages that I have. I don't know half of them I can never figure out if they're working for ISIS or if they're working for podcast promotions in some country. So there you go. So give us an overview of this company and what you guys do there at propertyguys.com.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll try to make it short, but basically, so I'll explain first what Property Guys does specifically, and then what I'm doing in Massachusetts and other states. So Property Guys for the past 25 years now has been an alternative solution to the traditional real estate model. Something very unique, not really comparable to anything. It's so if you're familiar with real estate, with buying and selling real estate, you know that nowadays it is quite pricey to sell your own property. Whatever the value of that property is, you will pay for the commission of the realtor, but you also have to get a lawyer and a photographer and a stager and appraiser and so on and so forth. So in the US, in most states, it's anywhere between 20 grand and up to 60, 70, 80 grand, which is nuts, right?
Yeah.
So that's what Property Guys came to fix, to offer something really different. Basically, they offer packages of services, as many or as little services as you need to sell your property. So you can be more hands-on or you can be fully hands-off. But either way, those packages are a one-time flat fee, typically in the range of $5,000, and it doesn't matter the value of your property, residential, commercial, big or small. So you actually pay for the services that you get, all included, instead of paying based on the value of your own property that you're trying to sell. That makes sense?
Oh, there you go. So basically, flat fee, is that a correct analysis?
That's right. So not only the sellers save a minimum of a dozen to 24 thousands of dollars in the process, but they also can choose the level of control that they want. And a lot of people do want to be more involved in the process of selling their property. Yeah. So that's what Property Guys does, and again has been doing successfully for over 25 years, mostly in Canada, but now they're expanding internationally, and that's where I come in. So I'm in charge of franchise development in some states, specifically Massachusetts. For the past year now. So my job is really to attract and select the best franchisee, some kick-ass entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs that will champion this model in their local community. So they'll get an exclusive territory, and it's a very affordable and highly profitable opportunity. So it's always a pleasure to talk about it and find those franchisees wherever they are.
There you go. And, I was a real estate agent for 6 years and owned a mortgage company for 20 years. I think I can tell this self-effacing joke. One of the challenges of the real estate agents is they do charge a lot of money. And a lot of them are the function of, these are the people you're hiring to say, this is the kitchen, to people who already know what a kitchen is. That's a joke, people. I'm going to get hate mail from realtors. Yeah. I also spelled it wrong when I said it, so you can write me hate mail too. I said it with an R, with an E instead of an R at the end. They get really big into that stuff. But I was a realtor for a lot of years.
I didn't know that, Chris, and thank you for mentioning it. You know what? My main focus are realtors and mortgage brokers.
There you go.
Surprisingly, they are typically the best fit for this model because not only they have a good knowledge of the industry, They usually have a passion, obviously, for real estate buying and selling, but they get to to do that in a much larger volume because franchisee work on large volume of listings and buyers. But also they get to own their own business. They're not just contractors, going from one deal to the other. They own the business. They grow. It grows in value. They can sell it, afterwards, and they get a lot more flexibility and income typically. So, yeah.
And do they have to have a broker's license to do it, or they can circumvent that with your guys' situation?
No, actually, that's a great question that we get all the time. The franchisee don't need even to be licensed. If they are, it's even better. They actually can double their revenue and profit compared to non-licensed franchisees. But actually, more than half of our franchisee, we have about 100 franchises up and running right now. More than half of them are not licensed, and they're already making a killing because this model is adaptable to whatever situation, licensed, not licensed. Someone with multiple hats. You mentioned mortgage, so someone who's a mortgage broker can be a franchisee, an agent, and a mortgage broker at the same time, and really maximize their profit and the opportunity. You can double dip, triple dip.
Oh wow, that is awesome. I mean, I wish you guys had been around years ago when I had my mortgage company. But that's interesting. So you don't have to have a real estate license or a broker's license to be able to get a franchisee up and running and do the thing. And you said you have about 100 or so different franchisees or places running around the world?
That's right. Yeah. Currently, it's about 100. Few years ago, before COVID, we had a little over 120. So it goes, back and forth between 100 and 120, basically. So over the years, we've had hundreds. And so we've seen every scenario, every market. And so that's a way for the business to, perfect its model. And when you buy a franchise, for those who are not familiar, buying a franchise, meaning, you don't get to start a business from scratch. You're under, the banner of a very, known brand and sets of systems and processes and support and so on that have been perfected over the years. So having all that experience behind makes this franchise opportunity very valuable.
There you go. So tell us a little bit about yourself. What's your journey and stuff, and what got you involved with this organization and got you down the kind of this journey and road?
Sure. Yeah. Thank you for asking, Chris. So as you mentioned earlier, I've been all over the place. I grew up in France, and at the end of my MBA, I had the opportunity to come back to Canada. So I did. And never used my MBA. I ended up getting a very expensive master's degree that I never even seen it because my parents went to the graduation on my behalf.
Wow.
So I started, from the bottom in sales and worked my way up. Long story short, a few years ago, about 4 or 5 years ago, I started my first business, which really took off and grew. It's a cleaning company, as you mentioned earlier, Steammates. So we're located in Halifax, and then we opened another branch in Ottawa a few years back. So this business, grew quite fast. But what I found, about myself is that I was more interested in working on the business and finding ways to remove myself from the business than actually working within the business and basically managing it. So I found myself to be more of an entrepreneur to create systems, processes, and make sure that they are the most effective and productive, possible, recording them and then duplicating them, in other markets or in other ventures. So that's what my focus has been for the past few years. And as you mentioned, this cleaning business in Canada is indeed for sale as we speak, because I want to focus a lot more of my attention on property, guys. I very much believe in its potential and this opportunity. So that's my next 5 to 10 years.
There you go. And I think real estate's just going to keep getting tighter. We have a growing population a little bit in this country still, I think, and there's lots of challenges with the Airbnb and the BlackRock's buying up property en masse and scooping stuff up, and it's kind of interesting. It's really amazing this country doesn't have enough housing, and I think we talked pre-show. Canada is experiencing probably a bigger crisis than we are in how they the housing crisis, the rental prices and fees and stuff. We just saw New York put forth a law that tries to get rid of short-term Airbnb stuff and force long-term rentals. So there's a real crisis of housing. Let me ask you this. One of the big sells of the realtors use is the MLS system, the multiple listing service that they use to put things on for sale. Are you guys able to tap into that resource with your franchise?
100%. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a great question. So the services that people are selling with Property Guys compared to ABC brokerage, those services are the same and more. Meaning, yes, the listings are on the MLS, on Zillow, on all platform, as well as Property Guys proprietary platform. And they get the service of if need be of an appraiser, professional showing, negotiation, and so on and so forth. So all of that is included. The difference from one franchise to another, depending if the franchisee is licensed or not, will be who's going to do those services. So most of those services are typically delegated. So we surround each franchise in each area with real estate professionals with whom we partner exclusively. So we will have one lawyer or real estate law firm, one mortgage brokerage, etc. that we partner exclusively in a region, and so they get all this flow, this volume of clients, and each of those clients are getting taken care of by vetted professionals.
And what sort of entry fees do you want to discuss? What the entry costs are to look at a franchise with you guys?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's also a great question. As I mentioned, we want to make it affordable. So specifically now, as we speak, for the first couple of years in this state, the price for franchise is basically between $35,000 and $40,000. So we make it really affordable, depending on the territory, and even to operate it, we're looking again between $30,000 and $60,000 for the first year. So it's very low overhead. Because again, the beauty in a franchise model, and specifically in ours, is that the franchisor, propertyguys.com, does offer a lot of services to each individual franchisee. So they don't actually have to hire a team and pay some salaries. They don't even have to get an office space, obviously, or a store or anything like this. So it's low overheads. Their focus is on business development locally, and we provide marketing service. We provide a call center, lead generation service, etc. to each of them. So it's some kind of teamwork, and the cost is reduced drastically.
That's pretty awesome, man. I mean, one of the hard costs of doing brick and mortar is, setting up and buying an office, signing a 3-year lease, and you're like, I hope this works out, and stuff. And that sounds like a really good deal, the way you've got it set up. And then lead generation. So do the franchisees mostly rely on you for lead generation, or is it a mix of both, where they got to do some work on their own and then rely on you guys for some of it too?
So it's I don't want to say it's 50-50, but what I often tell them, they have to rely on themselves in the sense of they're buying a business. They have to be all in.
You got to do some
and
work.
Basically exactly. I mean, their success will be linked to what they put in their franchise. But beside that, just with the brand recognition and all the organic leads coming, they are exclusive in their territory. So very much anyone who would decide to sell their property within their territory, they're their clients. They don't actually have to buy leads from us. It's their clients automatically. So they get a flow of organic leads. There is work done by home office, with the lead generation, with the call center that makes call and so on. So there is a certain portion. It can be 25 to 40%, on average, of leads and clients that come organically. But the majority of the work needs to be done by the franchisee. They do their own, marketing, advertising, whatever it might be, networking, even door-to-door flyers, anything you would do to promote your business, right? Pretty much any business.
There you go. And so this is a pretty good opportunity. It's fairly inexpensive. You don't have to get a license. I mean, it's a pain to get a real estate license. I mean, you can't be a broker, I think, you have to be a real estate agent for several years in most states. And you got to, I think, put up some bonds and some other things you got to pass. And, I had always passed an FBI background check every year. And I think in Nevada, I had to pass an Interpol check every year. So if I had any sort of criminal activity in anywhere in the world, I probably would lose my license. And I remember one point when we first entered Nevada in banking, we had to pass a mob background check. That was quite interesting. We had
Never heard of that.
Yeah, we had to list all of our family. It's Vegas, Las Vegas. We had to list all of our family members and how many safe deposit boxes they had and how many bodies they'd buried and stuff like that. And we were just like, wow, okay, this is really something. But Vegas had a lot of, this is in the 90s, so the Vegas had some remnants of mob activity still running there. I think there was still one last mob-owned Vegas place there. And you have to go to school for, I think it's a 90-hour course to do. It's pretty dry material. You have to pass a test, and they don't just test you on the knowledge. They give you double negative, triple negative things where if you don't,
it's a pretty tough.
Yeah, if you don't read the and word or the or word right, then even though you may have be the smartest guy in the room, they'll trip you up, and you're like, do we really need to have a test that doesn't test on just knowledge, but how much of a trickster brain you have? Because it's probably going to let a scam artist like a psychopath that can pass this test, but I can't because I'm an honest guy. But it is hard to get those licenses, and then it costs thousands of dollars to become a real estate. Once you get your license, you've got to go to a brokerage. You got to usually pay them a few $1,000s or whatever to sign up with them and get listed, and then from there you just got to start from zero.
And you have to split every commission.
Yeah, you got to split every commission with them. Good point. Yeah, I forgot about that. You have to split every commission with them, and it doesn't end up being a lot of money, and most top real estate agents, I think most people don't realize, most top agents in the business market, they're flipping their own deals, and they're making most of their money flipping their own deals. And so they're the first ones who are getting a hold of the good stuff, and they scrape that cream off for themselves, flip those deals, and then they work for other people as tip money. That may be over exaggerating a little bit, but it's true.
And the thing is, I mean, you mentioned the top people. That's the thing. A lot of people don't realize. I discovered that just a few years ago. Only the top 5 or 10% actually do great in real estate. The vast majority of agents, I would say even not just nationwide, but North America wide, they're either barely making a living. They're making they're doing that on the side, or barely breaking six figures, and definitely majority of them are not where they'd like to be. So that's why it's such a good option, and that's why I quote unquote target agents specifically, because when you think about it, why they're not where they'd like to be, in most states, and I'm going to speak about Massachusetts, there is 27,000 agents that all have the exact same value proposition. They all do the same thing. You can go with John or with Cindy, and you're gonna get the same service.
Or you can go Bob. You can go with Bob. That's a callback.
Or with Bob. Yeah.
We always use Bob for everything. It's always Bob.
I heard bad things about Bob's.
So did I. Fucking
but
Bob.
But that's the thing. Being able to stand out from the crowd, be different, do things differently, usually it really appeals to agents.
It's a long call. For years, I use Bob for everything. Anytime I gotta kick somebody around, I just use Bob. It's freaking Bob. So, but no, I see the vision of what you're talking about. I mean, to go from working under a brokership to going in on your business, you don't have to split the fees. You guys have, compared to what I spent to go into real estate, between going to school for a month and a half or something, whatever, 90 days, whatever it was. And then passing the test. And I can't remember if I passed on the first time or not, but usually you fail on the first time. And that's when you figure out they double, triple negative, different questions. You're like, well, you took the, they'll be like, they just mess with you. It's like a psychological torture test, and you have to sit there and read the question like 50 times to be like, do I comprehend this right? Same thing with the mortgage business. They did the same thing, and I'm like, no wonder so many criminals get in this business. It's made for a criminal mind that can hop these jumps. But you be able to go without the freedom. I remember a lot of the commissions I would make on real estate were like $1,500. Of course, this is back in the day when homes were much cheaper. But by the time you paid your fees and the agency or the agency split and all that good stuff, and depending upon your split of what you had, I mean, some people have like 50-50, some have 60-40. I think they start you kind of low these days. I don't know. But being able to go on your own and being able to circumvent the licensing, holy crap. I mean, there you go.
And I mean, you can still, just to clarify, because I
Sure.
agree with everything you just said, but to clarify, you can still be licensed. And if you're not licensed, you become a franchisee. You can actually get licensed under us. So Property Guys is not a brokerage, but we do have a sister brokerage. It's called Property Guys Direct Realty, PGDR. And so we do give the opportunity to franchisees to get licensed if they want to, or to hang their license if they want to. And guess what? So far we've been talking only about sellers, but when you're licensed, you actually get it opens the door to buyers. You actually can work with buyers and even provide services to your neighboring franchisee that might not be licensed. So we do encourage them to get licensed if they want to, or to come with their license. But everything you said is absolutely true. I mean, a lot of people do want to get in real estate because they like real estate, and they can't pass the test, or they don't want to. Or they want to do things, a little bit differently. Because when you think about it, it's also agents, and you're the one who has been an agent, so you know better than me. Most of your time is spent prospecting. And a lot of agents don't actually know that initially. They think they're just going to be buying and selling real estate. No, you're going to be door to door and prospecting hard for each and every individual client you're going to get.
And the competition is high. There's a lot of hungry real estate agents out there doing their stuff as well. And like you mentioned before, I think you said there's like, tens of thousands of people with the same business model they're offering, and having something that's different is definitely gives you an edge, gives you a disruption, and more appealing.
You're one out of one.
There you go.
One out of hundreds.
Boy, that sun sure came up fast over there. How long have we been talking? Just 27 minutes. Man, it's up. Yeah, you're daylight there. You're breakfast time. What haven't we touched on that's some of the other features and benefits of your guys' company?
Sorry, can you repeat? I didn't get
that. What other features and benefits haven't we touched on or talked about that people should know about your company?
Yeah, so I mean, there are multiple things that we can discuss, but something that really, drives me and got me really excited. Why, did I jump into this model? Not only the fact that it's disrupting an industry that does need to be disrupted. It hasn't changed. Real estate industry hasn't changed in over 100 years. So coming with something fresh and changing the way people think about real estate is super exciting. But, for me specifically, the fact that each individual franchisee work on a large volume of clients, as I said, about 100 a year and 100 buyers as well. So bringing so much value to so many people, and being able to expand that, myself being able to expand that to multiple franchisees that will do that all across the state and then all across the Northeast. That's my vision. That's the exciting part. But on top of that, as I mentioned earlier, there is a whole bunch of real estate professionals that gravitate around each territory, around each franchise, and each individual lawyer, mortgage broker, photographer, and so on also benefit heavily from this model because they get all this volume of clients. So it's, you can think about it, it's a win-win-win-win. Everyone involved is benefit and wins. And in my opinion, that's how any business should be. You should aim for the most value for the most people in your market, basically. Yeah.
Most definitely. Well, it sounds like a great proposition as to what people can take and do, and a great business opportunity, because real estate's everyone wants to get into it, but it's got as we've talked about, a kind of high entry point. But you guys have figure out a great way to do it. You're largely doing Massachusetts for what we're talking about here. Can I be in Nevada or another state in the nation and also get set up there in Massachusetts and do stuff there? Do I have to live in Massachusetts?
So that's a very good question. I'm in charge specifically and exclusively to Massachusetts, but we are actually also open in Connecticut, in Texas, and in Florida. So Florida, Texas started first, then myself in Massachusetts, and then Connecticut. So each of those states, if you want to be a franchisee, you can, and you can definitely reach out to me, and I will direct you to the right people or help you in the process. If you're in Nevada, in Utah, in California, we're not yet open in the sense you cannot be franchisee, but you can do what I do. So you can if you love the model and the vision, you can actually promote. Basically buy the rights on a whole part of your state and look for those franchisee and maybe even become franchisee yourself once you own this exclusive right. I could open a franchise if I were in Massachusetts currently. I could open one of my franchise myself, but it's not in my vision because I really want the model to grow wide and fast. But yeah, great question. And also in Canada, because I know that a lot of your audience is in Canada. So in Canada, we've been operating for 25 plus years. It's pretty much, everywhere coast to coast there are active franchisee, but there are still some territories that are available. So for anyone in Canada.
There you go. Well, this sounds like an incredible opportunity that people can take advantage of and do. Parting thoughts as we go out.
Parting thoughts. You took me by surprise on on this one. So I do encourage, as I kind of mentioned at the beginning, not only people to get into business, into entrepreneurship. If you have that drive, it's just a matter of jumping into it, finding the right opportunity, and franchise in general are typically a good opportunity. But along all the conversation that I have and I've had recently, I see a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners that are hustling too much in their business and killing themselves in their business, either with a mental breakdown or how do you call that, burnout. So I'm a big preacher of taking the time for yourself and to have this good balance to basically put your life, your family, your hobbies. For me, it is traveling, exploring the world. But for others, it can be sport and whatnot. To put that first, and the reason I'm saying this because it actually does result in a lot more success when you are in the right mindset. When you actually put your personal life and mental health first, then everything that surrounds it and your work in particular does benefit from that decision. So that's the first thing that came to mind. But we can definitely discuss further on that later.
There you go. So what's the best way for people to reach out to you and get to know you better and all that good stuff?
Absolutely. So on LinkedIn, so again, Karim Kerachni, Karim Kerachni, it's probably in the title. So you'll find me easily. My business line also in the US is 857-308-1234 for text only. So yeah, anyone can approach me, whether they're interested with that opportunity, whether they want to talk business and entrepreneurship and franchising and so on. I'm always open to connections.
There you go. Well, this has been wonderful, insightful to have you on the show. I really appreciate it, man.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you so much for having me. As I said, I'm a big fan of your show, and it was an honor to
thank you. Here. It was an honor to have you as well, and thank you for bringing the beautiful sunrise from Malaysia halfway around the world. So that sounds like a lot of fun and beautiful. And you're right by the beach there, so you can go out on your deck or go out and have a coffee or something or breakfast right there overlooking that beautiful seaside thing. There you go. So thank you very much for coming on the show, Karim. We really appreciate it. Thanks so much for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, YouTube.com/Chris Voss, and Chris Voss 1 on the Tickety Talkety. Thanks for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you guys next time. And that should have